Alright there, how you doing? This one is a part two of Escalation to Our Freedom. And it's about this being a soul over gold system, right? So that's Bhakti over Kami. And this is what we need to be in, right? There's about, over 5,000 years we've been in this Kali Yuga, as I mentioned in the previous vlog, of different epochs of kingdoms and rulers, and they all go through what's watched recently. They'll come up on YouTube, I don't know if you've been seeing them, about this sixth sort of like stage before all these kingdoms collapse due to their monetary rule and their overreach, where like the US dollar that the world's backed off at the moment is pretty much at its last legs now. So this is why you probably see the president right now of US going around sort of like grovelling around to all these other rulers. Like, it's him making all their meetings, isn't it? It's not any of them coming to him when you think about it, right? Do you see that, right? And just to keep it under the US dollar control, they're all in the boys' club together. What's roughly what they say, about 300 families that are all in the whole of the world, and they've got all these kings and prime ministers and presidents. Let's face it, are all political prisoners. So all they do as a reflection on us is continue to bind us and imprison us, like with the ID cards they want to try and bring in. Every 3 years they want us to have a now driving license test, like Australia has always been, as all prison planets, a prison planet more so, a prison country, I should say. What most of us are, but we all are anyway, if you get what I mean, like the way they make them sort of, they've got to force them into going into ballot stations, even if you're not voting, or you get fined of $20, which is about 10 quid, So it's kind of these kind of things they try and push, on us. I've heard the one about the 55 years of age now, they're going to try and bring us a sort of, come up on my newsreel. They're going to try and bring it from 55 onwards or something, like you've got to have a new license every 3 years, like Australia. Like, sod off, you know what I mean? It's just like to make more money out of you, we had it till 70, yeah? I was going to add it like no gravy, we want to keep it that way, thank you. But yeah, I mean, look, the whole national debt clock's about £300 trillion, in debt. I mean, it's like as mine has become the new plus or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what's that about? I mean, that itself, it's £5,000 a second that the national debt clock's going up in UK. It's over. They've had 5,000 years. They've had all these world rulers of epochs of time to prove money's a thing. Kuvera, right? The presiding deity of money. All these subterranean dynasties of Kuvera banking systems as well. It's had its turn. It's had its go. It don't work, right? Remove Kuvera, disable him. We don't need him. Everything's accountable in service of relevant keeping duties in a free world, except basically the cost and department. Look at you walk in like in a free world. On your receipt, all you need is everything you need to know about, apart from how much it costs. So it just keeps the stocks in check, or what needs to be replenished, that we're all working and serving, right? The one denarius system that Jesus is talking about is what I basically pretty much extend on in teaching. The workers in the parable of the workers in the vineyard, which is basically the Dharma and the Artha. So like, as in the Vedic teaching, the Santana Dharma, what we know of is that they call it Kama, Moksha, which is liberation. Kama being another name for Cupid or Jesus, the Pradyumna expansion, the head Cupid or sun. So in household Gostra living that we live in, most of us, you see, then you've got to say the moksha, our liberations. You see, and that liberation for our dharma or our career, you see. But most ain't gonna have a career, and then for the artha with the economic system, right? So I extend on that dharma and the artha as sons for our liberations. Interesting, they swap it all about, that they put it all the wrong way around. Like it's sort of like they all start off with like being artha, dharma, then kama, and moksha, as in moksha out the material nature. But to get moksha away in the material nature, wouldn't it be more of another way, a different way of looking at it, is we, Kama, the sons and daughters of heaven, in our household living, to get our liberations in our careers, Dharma, in the economic system, by using, as I go on about, this 5-step plan, which is, well, firstly, don't vote into these governmental systems where you are democratic in the world countries, every 100 years you get an opportunities every 5 years. Then we become neutral countries, white helmet ourselves. Then step 3, become non-monetary, clearing all debts, consolidating all housing and all states into the first estate. Then step 4, introduce the 3913 working natural seasonal template into human resources, where the real crux of true revolution starts to begin as well, you see. So we get the 48.4 out, we put this 39.13, that is 13 weeks by 4 people, and every duty basically worth keeping. And you get 39 weeks back. If it's a career, you do 26 weeks or 39 weeks. You say you choosing what is a career or a job. You say, so a career to another is a job to another. And some jobs are just jobs, right? Bin men, shelf stackers, factory workers. You see, but if we're the professional of it being like construction workers, you see, anything like that, gardeners, you know what I'm talking about. There's a grey area of what's a career as a job to another, and some careers are careers also like nurses, doctors, and vocational work like teachers, you see. But you choose. You see, this is the beauty of the way. We get treated like adults and do this. This is what we should be living in. In Robert's 8 hours you work, 8 hours you rest, 8 hours basically is work, rest and play, right? 8, like miles a day. Right, so like what we want to do is take the 48.4 out and put the 39.13 in. That will change everything for us. That's the game changer. This is why I talk all this stuff, because I have a resolution that's been forgotten. Nothing new under the sun. I just refigured out something. Blue sky thinking, right? They furloughed us, remember that. So we just said, now we're back in their so-called normal first lockdown 48.4 systems. We put this 39.13 in human resources. But to get there, as I say, we've got to use this 5-step plan, as I just mentioned, and I have in most of my other vlogs, which is a stickler. I go on about all the time, as you know, if you watch my stuff. The only real rulers then in the free world, you see, are the CEOs of the industries or real industries worth keeping that we decide like, and line managers. And then you as a boss say, well, I'm only going to work 13 or 16 weeks in a duty when I need to. You know what I mean? And that's it for them 8 hours, 40 hours a week for 13 weeks, 16 sometimes. If a duty needs a little bit more of your instruction and skill, you come in 3 weeks before you're set on for 13 weeks, right? So you still get 36 weeks, but usually it might be 39 weeks, We see when we get there, Industries will know how much training you will need, and we just impart that knowledge to the last person, to the next person coming in through the 4 seasons, right? So it's basically in our free world, so it's just about what we're doing. So for free administrative systems, it's booking up to turn up, yeah? So we're paying to book up to turn up. This is the beauty of the way. You see, this is what we do. And this is the thing, what country goes first when hit 51% of all these democratic countries? Because you're going to be the first flagship country. So there's going to be quite a big massive change, when we hit that point, because it's coming any time from 5 years to 50 years in this winter space we're in this time of changing it from a Kali Yuga of rulership into a Krita Yuga flow state, you see, economy, we keep the flow going as grafters, you see, it's us that do everything. So we become self-sufficient in all things in our countries as well, This is all we need to become. So as I say, the analogy of bring the turtle limbs back into the shell of itself, because at the moment we're all exposed due to capitalistic trade. What we could restore back and re-replicate in ourselves as a countrymen, what needs to be done, and we serve in this 39.13 roster. But no, these things have to be done, you've got to think about the trade. This is a big subject. I'm just going to skip on this one on this vlog, but you become that first country. How are you going to operate? Doesn't where it faults what I'm saying. It needs where you lot in this conversation to continue as well. Think, well, how would this happen? You see, what happens when you do become the first country? I mean, Britain, people like British goods, So do we just say, well, we'll give you a yearly month of tonnage we had basically as agreed on, when we get what we back from you in yearly tonnage as well, but we're not paying for it, and you're getting ours for free as well. But remember, we'll be the first country, if we are the first country, whatever country it is that first flagship, So it's holding on tight. You see, this is the thing. So this is the bitch of the situation we find it out in Babylonian Kali Yuga systems. You see, but it's not that it can't be. It's defaulted. Or makes what I'm saying line. It's just it's the challenge. You see, Is what I need all the rest of you folk to figure this out and come up with other ideas as well in a non-monetary thinking way, how this will be figured. Like, yeah, I don't have all the answers. As I say, the answers are in everyone else as well in all this, you know. You know, the rulers, you see, as I say, they're political prisoners. So this escalation we're in is them putting it on us, as I said before. You see, they can't go anywhere without there being security ushered anywhere. So they just reflect that on us. You see, and we've got to stop that. You know what I mean? And basically, they say, well, you know, it all works out dandy in the free world for us, the poor, and them, the rich. You know, but they're always going to be politically ushered in even the free world when we do take back from becoming a free world, where there's no king or president anymore as a rule of dictating monetary world order. It's just we're the free people working in the free world for free. You know, I mean, what we want is that more freedom from them, and basically that's the point of what we want. We want more freedom, you know, and even more freedom. Do you get what I mean? Sort of like, because we're stuck in a 48-4 system. So you can go about when you want. You've got no ushering or security for yourself, but you're as free as about the money you got and the amount of time you got off. You see, that's the problem. You see what I mean? And you're in the 48-4 system. We've got to swap it around to 39-13, the natural seasonal working template. You know, so like, how would it work? Like, you know, now it's not a democratic system. You know, it's like, well, it's not me being the big communistic dictator, because it's not about that. I'm just bringing this forward as a man, right? You know, it's not about it's about not me being president of any of these second-class systems. It's about keeping everything in the Brahman, the first class. And so then wouldn't it be like a free world voting system? So like all the local issues are sorted by all the locals. Every 3 months, like the new workers come and you have a reflection on an assembly or online if you can't get down to the assembly point. And then all the issues that have been accumulating get sort of like prompted to basically, why haven't you done that? And then the representative of that industry locally explains why, whatever, and other stuff that then becomes like, do we vote yes or no for an extension on a school or whatever it is, you know, in the SimCity times of systems that we're in. You see what I mean? There's only these two things mainly that we really are really dealing with, you know. Things go national, then we put them up to vote. Whatever becomes a national thing in an industry, because it's obviously an industry problem somewhere, because it's non-monetary, it's not going to be a corruption, is it? You see what I mean? It's about a non-monetary system. So what really needs to be brought out through the industry, through someone saying this needs to be discussed amongst ourselves, and the national general vote goes on what needs to be done about it, you know? Because all this industry is pretty much down there, has all everything going on anyway, you know? So I mean, it's pretty simple, you know. I mean, it's clocking over, but we're being more free. I'm just improving, like services, you know what I mean. Where we need more staff, we've got more staff, even though there's 30 weeks by 4 people. Where we need more technology or modernisation of factory goods, you know, like equipment and the machinery. That's what we basically make, because money's no object; it can be done. You know, and you're being free to only working 30 weeks by 4 weeks, being the blacksmith to the user who uses all the tools that you're using, if you get them adrift, yeah? You know, so like, you know, on the cure of the having more response teams, so like every 13 weeks, as I say, when all the stuff's accumulated, and then on the first, second, and third and fourth season of the year, you get people saying, well, I work in human response, you know, public relations. So like, you know, you go there and you fix the problem that's been accumulating in a complaint. That's what you do specifically for 13 weeks in that industry, big or small, you know. That's how we work it, you know. That's how we used to do it when I was a gardener. We was a response team. So all the complaints were made, they'd go specifically be the crew that go around and fix it, you know. We just do that, you know, of all these industries, you know, public relations, we call it, as you know, right? It's just like, so what we're doing is changing how we serve in the rhythm of life. So we're getting back to this natural seasonal template. Getting out 48-4 is unnatural. Getting into 39-13, that's our thing. We become free men. You know, I mean, free women. This is how, you know, and we use this way, you know. You're not stressed by this job. You're only doing it for 13 to 16 weeks. You know, sling your up. You know, you've got 36, 39 weeks back to yourself. Enjoy the rest of your seasons off, whatever season you're coming in, you know. You know, that's right. So there's a lot of layers here, and this conversation continues in all of you, and don't forget that. You know, and that's what this is about. That you know, it's about you basically conversing on this, because I don't have all the answers. You see, the answers are in everyone else. See, I'll show you a quantitativeness of what needs to be done. You know, but I'm not working in every department. I know ins and outs of problems. as much as I've been a manual worker most of my life, and worked, I'm not working at the moment, or over the last 10 years, but I've been working for a good 20 years. I've worked, so I know what work is. This is why I get this. I'm a manual grafter from working class roots. But as I say, the conversation continues in all of you, and have a nice day.